So, yeah, we just are not going to get everything we want because there's no one human being that can fulfill every,
That's
hole in
right.
our soul. Let me just say it like that. And it's a tough truth, but we have to respect that. You
Right.
see, and think about, okay, if this person is bringing 85 to 95% of this, and everything else, but oh, I really need this. I really need this. Think about, is that a need for you or a want? Because I promise, as we grow, some of those needs and wants are going to fall off. All right, just want to say good afternoon to everyone. I'm Dr. M. I have a private practice. I'm a healthy relationship therapist and coach. I work part time also for Impact Family Counseling, and I just love people. I just love couples. So I believe healthy relationships are what we need more of. So I'm excited about being here today, and I'm looking forward to sharing with all of these wonderful couples that I have in this room with me. And we're just going to have some real talk. Ask everybody to be respectful of each other, and we're going to go have a good time. Thank you so much.
Okay.
My name is Sharonda Wilson. I've been married for 10 years and I'm 37.
I'm Keith Wilson. Married 10 years, 37 years old.
I'm Erica Reynolds. I've been married for 11 years and I'm 33.
I'm Brian Keith. I've been married for 11 years and I'm 39.
I am Quee. I have never been married and I am 32.
I am LeCheston. Y'all know who I am. I am engaged. I am 38.
Wow. Well, I don't think I'm going to tell my age, but I will go back and say that I've been a widow for 19 years. I was married for 27 years before my husband died suddenly, and I'm just excited about life. I believe in love, I really do, and I believe in healthy relationships. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I hear that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I guess we'll get started.
Yeah.
I have some questions and I have some comments, and really, I just want everybody to relax. Okay, and this is going to be a great flow. Again, just relax.
All right.
All right,
Let's do it.
all right. Let's get this party started. So, if you want to, I guess, respond to the question so that everyone won't talk at the same time, just give me a little cue and I'll know that you're going to respond so that everybody won't talk at the same time.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that okay?
Yep.
All right. Okay. The first question here, I guess it's a roundtable question, a response for everyone. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the less and 10 being the best, how important is social media to you when it comes to your relationship or your marriage? Who wants to speak to that?
So are we just answering with a number and that's it? Or we answering with a number and a why we gave that number?
Let's just start with the number first.
Okay.
Everybody that wants to respond to that. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important do you believe
You can
social
actually
media?
just go ahead and respond in the same order we did introductions.
Okay, that'll be great.
So 10 being
The
the like,
highest, like it's most important.
okay.
One being least important.
It's a 1.
Okay.
It's a one for me as well.
Same one.
Yeah, it's a good old one for me. Maybe half a one.
I'm going to say it's a good 5, 6 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a one for me too.
Okay. Well, and that's one thing about us, unique individuals, and it's okay, when we express how we feel about a thing. However, uh, saying that, for two people, you need to be in agreement about a certain thing,
Right.
or it will definitely cause some fallout, okay? So if one of you is very high on that social media thing and you think you really need that, and the other one is like, ugh, don't need that at all, really need to be able to sit down and talk about that and see why it's so important to the other one and why it's not important to the other one. That's
Gotcha.
what I want to say on that.
Right.
Any other commentary on that before we move to another?
Oh yeah, I got some. So the reason I say it's a 1 because I see it as if I like to show you that I like you, I love you, my wife. Them people don't feed me. Them people don't take care of me. Them people ain't there when I'm down. So I show you whatever they get is what you want to give them. My purpose is to make you happy, you safe, provide for you, protect you. Everything else is what we decide to give them because, and all together, my purpose is for you, not anything outside of you. That's just my insight on it.
All right, I like it.
Okay.
All right, anybody else?
I'll speak on it. I just feel with the social media situation is, I maybe could speak for my wife and myself that the reason it's a 1 for us is we've been doing this for a long time. I mean, so with me, it's kind of like, it's not the requirement of the social media, but it's just, it's just a natural flow. She doesn't require me posting anything. I don't require her posting anything, but she does, and I do the same for her. But it's not a validation point. It's just the showing that, hey, we look good together. I want you to see, regardless of
That's
whoever
my man,
likes
that's
it.
my woman.
Yeah, but it's not a requirement to. I don't have to prove anything because, like I said, social media, I could take good pictures and
Be your
They
whole
are.
person.
at the house. I mean, when we post a picture, everybody giving you black love and relationship goals, but y'all hate each other guts. But y'all just take good
Right.
pictures, So I think more so it has to be an establishment of just who you are. And once you got that flow, it's like it really, it's an understanding that, hey, I'm proud of you, I love you. The world knows it. I don't care if they know it, but it's not a requirement. That's just my take.
Yeah. And I think I have a take on it too. Me and LaCheston had a conversation the other day of why I think I feel like it is a scale of 5 or 6 for me. And I think it comes from more so childhood trauma of me feeling like I'm not enough. Like I feel like I don't get a good prayer. Me and my dad I'm not a daddy's girl. We didn't have that relationship where if I could call my dad, he like, oh, you my baby girl, I got you. The answer was always, well, let me see what I can do. And then I would have to call him back and remind him. Or even with my mom, even to this day, if I show her something or send her something, it's like, yeah, I like that, but if you add this will be nice too. Like, it's just never, I'm proud of you. That's enough. So I feel like it's a sense of acknowledgement that as a child, I personally never got. And again, this is a safe space. We're being honest. I don't get it from LaCheston when we're at home either. Like we've had in the counseling session, LaCheston doesn't think that you should get praised for certain things that.
Well, let's just
are
stick with that topic. We're gonna get to some other stuff in a minute. Just the social media right now. Okay, I guess I should have mentioned that so that we can kind of flow with what we're talking about.
I think I was getting there, but
We're gonna get to that.
yeah, I'm getting there. So
Okay.
again, I don't get praise at home. So I feel like when I do certain things or basically I prefer acknowledgement. I've
Gotcha.
never gotten acknowledgement and I want it in one way or another. Yes, I am one of those girls who if I get on social media and I see a man boasting about his wife, oh, she's just XYZ. I don't know what I would do without her. She's the best mom, blah, blah, blah. I'll admit it. I don't care. I'm one of those women who I feel some type of way. You don't have to, and I'm perfectly fine about it. And you are also right. Those people could be very unhappy at home.
Right.
But for me, that's my personal reason of why I would like my acknowledgement, to know that I am enough, to know that I did do something right. And to know that, like people said, like they said, oh, people know we a couple.
So you're saying the validation from all the other people on social media or the validation from your partner?
man.
Got you. So social media is a validation for you coming from him if he put it on social media. That's what you're saying pretty much.
Correct.
Okay. Got you. And there again, we're all entitled to what we think and how we feel. So, as long as you share that with one another, that's fine. And you can understand where each other is coming from. You see, I would say, in my humble opinion, I would not let social media be a deal breaker, you know, and I find that so many people are doing that, you know, because really that's for the world to see. And I really respect and appreciate what these two brothers just said. You know, that doesn't matter. It doesn't make or break your relationship, you know. So I think we have to have that, you know, understanding as our foundation,
Yeah.
you know. So thank you all so much for sharing. All right. All right. Let's see. Um, well, I think another question that goes along with that, it asks, has social media made marriage superficial? Do you feel like social media has made marriage superficial? I'm just going to say relationships, courtships, not just marriage, you know?
Give me your definition of superficial.
Yeah.
Well, that is, I don't know who wrote the question, but I want to say this. I'm going to answer that. But everything is relative to the definition, okay? I'll just back all the way back up and say that's even the definition of love. If someone says, I love you, and someone else says, I love you, and if you don't really unpack that, your definitions can be as far as from the east as the west, okay?
Right.
So what's superficial to me might be, someone else might feel like it's a necessity to them, okay? But for me, something superficial is just unreal.
Yeah, it's not real.
It's not real at all, you know? Social media, just let me say this, it's real in a sense, but it's not real enough to, as you so eloquently have stated, have an impact on my life. You know, if I let that dictate my life, then have I really reduced my life to? Because at the end of the day, people on social media really don't care about me.
Right.
You know, I don't care how many likes they give you, you know, how much they respond. You know, at the end of the day, you know, like you said, they don't pay your bills, you know, none of that.
Right.
And a lot of it is false likes. You know, some people just go in and like everything, you know, and it depends on the topic. A lot of people respond to certain things. You know, I do a lot of social media, you know, for the ministry and for work, but I don't like everything and I don't post, you know, all the time. So for me, superficial is just unreal. Okay. So has social media made marriage or relationships, I'm going to say, appear more unreal?
I think it got us away from the basics. Because we already pretty much stated our ages. You know what I'm saying? I'm 38, so I grew up in the 80s era. You know, where you could have on some platform shoes or some Skechers shoes with a skirt on and a t-shirt with your hair tied up in a ponytail, and that's what I found attractive. I think superficial relationship when it comes to relationships and it comes to marriage, it just has made everything take a complete turn. I grew up in a little small town called Bruton, Alabama, later moved to Evergreen. So I come from a line of family members that simply what you did was you went to high school, you graduated high school. 9 times out of 10, probably whoever your senior high school sweetheart was, is probably who you knocked up or who you ended up getting married to. You tried to get a job in your little small town, whatever the big plant was, whatever the big job was, that's where you try to get on at. You buy you some land, you buy you a house, you raise your kids, put them through the same cycle that you went through. That's the nitty gritty of basically who I am. So I think that if you look at that, not to try to put life or people in an actual box, you know what I'm saying? Because people are extremely creative and innovative nowadays. You know what I'm saying? But I think like that's like the basic. You can go to any small town right now and you're gonna find those basic people. And I think that's the basic foundation of what any relationship, courtship, or marriage should have, is that those are the fundamental things that actually matter. And I think that social media has extremely diluted the fact of what really matters when it comes to a man and a woman talking about they want to love each other and build something.
Okay. And if I might add to that, before social media, I believe television, you know, cable, um, uh, I'm going to say Hollywood with the celebrities and the sports, all of that, I believe, have just shed some light. And in my own opinion, that is not always positive
All right.
when it comes to courtships, you know, and marriages.
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like social media TV, I mean, like growing up, watching TV, I thought marriage was like, you know, you wake up in the morning, you know, good morning, baby. Let me cook you breakfast. And it's all happy. And that's what the world show us.
Right.
And that's what we show social media. You know, we only show the happiness. Um, and that makes people like, oh, I'm ready to get married. But in reality, people really they're not ready. It's work, and it's a lot of work.
Right.
I'm with you when
Um,
you're right.
it's a lot of work. And I tell people all the time, if something ever happens between me and Keith, I would never do it again. It's work.
What I say?
Never.
So I think that's where the superficial come in because the world has always showed us that, like I said, marriage is happy.
Right.
And we're all changing, we all growing, we all evolving,
The
and
world too.
you know, and sometimes that's not all. I mean, it's all good, but then, like me and Keith been married for 10 years. He don't have to relearn me. I don't have to relearn him. So yeah, so you do see marriage, but it's more than just that. It's a lot that goes into it.
It's a life.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
like it's yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's
If
a
you ask
lifestyle.
me, I think marriage is the hard part.
Yeah.
It ain't the easy part. That's the easy. It's the hard part. That's marriage. It's when you ain't agreeing with each other
Yeah.
and y'all face to face. What are you gonna do? Go to sleep. Try it again tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's marriage. Not what's for show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, social media. When that's to answer your question, I think it is superficial because everybody wants to put on the show. When it's time to grind, like we gotta grind together, and when we don't get along, and we still gotta grind because we got these mouths to feed. That's what matters.
It makes
Yeah.
a difference, doesn't it?
That's that strength. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And and I've had couples sit in my office and kind of feel some type of way when I say marriage is work. But I don't want to feel like I'm signing up for another 40-hour-a-week job. I said, no, you signed up for a lifetime
That's right.
Yeah.
of work.
Right.
It's not work where you're punching a clock, but it's work because there are things that need to be done. There are things that need to be talked through. There's reasoning, okay? We have to agree that sometimes we're going to disagree and still don't fall out,
Right.
All of that comes in the scope of marriage. And I will just say this, I really think that a lot of people don't really put a lot of stock in the vows. They just excited about getting married. They excited about the wedding. They excited about the cake. All the bridesmaids, the groom. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, we're going on a honeymoon. Look, I ain't talking about nobody. Just talking about what I'm talking about. Okay. I think most people, when they go on a honeymoon now, that's just an expensive vacation because you've already sampled all the honey. It's something to be said for a honeymoon. And so people really miss what marriage, I believe, is really all about. And I think if we start now, teaching our young people, okay, what healthy courtships are, healthy relationships are, I think we'll see a better hope, for people to get married and want to have families now. But most young folk don't see a healthy relationship now. So they have no desire to get married. They don't see enough of that. They just looking for the glitz, the glam, all that superficial stuff that they see, on social media and in the movies. So I appreciate you all sharing.
Yeah, they don't see we want to kill each other like once a week.
Once.
Thursday.
You stupid.
3 times on Sunday.
Well, my plate be in the microwave and her bill
Are
be
you
paid.
hungry?
Wow. Well, I see we got several questions from social media, so I guess that's a topic here, isn't it? Oh, wow. We flowing with that. So this one says, has social media diluted the value of men to just their wallets?
Ooh,
Please.
I agree. I think so. Just from looking at social media, there what can I think of? Women will literally, I'm not just speaking of this generation. They're literally out here like, oh, if he don't make over this and that, I can't deal with it. A 9 to 5 is not gonna work for me. That's not gonna work. No, I don't got time for that. This is that, and that's what any race. That's what's the thing now. It don't even matter if he's a good dude or he believe in God. It matters his wallet. Do he got a car? Do he got a house? Like, that's the main thing. I've hear my little sister friends be talking about all the time. Oh, if he ain't got at least a house or a car, or if he ain't got make at least 10 this a month, at least $40,000 a month. I say, how old are you, baby? I'm about 25.
How much is 40 grand a month?
That's a lot.
Way more than
So that's like a half
She's
meal a year.
25. Looking forward that.
That's $480,000 a
Yeah.
year.
And she look about 40 years old and told me, yeah, that's what I
I'm
need.
too old for them kind of. I'm glad you married me.
Oh, me too.
I'd be lonely.
Oh.
Well, if I may speak to that, I think a lot of it is conditioning. I think a lot of it is things that have gone into our ear gates and into our eye gates, okay?
TV.
So not only TV,
It's music.
it's music,
You're right
and
about that one.
City Girl.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
and we can reel it in because I remember even growing up in my era. I grew up in the 60s, okay? And so you would hear mothers or grandmothers tell their daughters, you see what I'm saying? You need to get a man that worked, okay? And then as we progress, there's nothing wrong with that. But as we
Yeah.
progressed, and more women began to go to school and become educated and what have you, then they started putting stipulations. And they started sitting around having these conversations, okay? And if he doesn't make X amount of dollars and can't buy me this and can't buy me that. So it's not just social media. Some women actually sit around and have that conversation and they believe that, you know?
I got a patch on question to that.
Me too.
And because I was in a barbershop yesterday and I kind of sort of got pushed out because there was a conversation about raising kids. And I don't have any biological kids. I have a stepdaughter, but I don't have any biological kids. So everybody was telling me that I can't talk about it because I ain't got no kids. So I was like, all right, cool. Everybody that's sitting in here right now, don't nobody got no little boys. Everybody got little girls. So if that's the status quo that has started to trend, as in what older women are teaching younger women, is that something that how does that tie into how you guys that are raising daughters every day, how does that conversation tie into, because I know they're young right now, you know what I'm saying, and it's scary for me. I even talk to Cree all the time about Kai, just because she a pretty girl, and I'm like, dang, bro, I really don't want her to grow up, because guys gonna start talking to her and trying to talk to her and stuff like that. So when it comes to you all being parents of daughters, how do y'all handle that conversation when it comes to the ideal man, outside of giving them the example that you're giving them? You know what I'm saying? Because I know y'all go to work, y'all are present in your kids' lives. Like, how do you formulate that as a parent to say, when your daughter asks you, okay, mom, like, what kind of guy should I be kind of sort of looking for, or dad, what kind of guy should I be looking for? Is that conversation going to still be the same, like what you just said about the women sitting around saying, yeah, girl, you need to go get you a guy that's XYZ?
Basically, what you're saying is, as me and its parents, we see the problem, but are we in-house changing the dynamics of how they view it? That's
Right.
basically what
That's
you're
it.
saying. Yeah.
That's it.
Let me get some of this. I got 3 of them things.
Well, first, thank you. But before you answer, let's just say this. I hope that your dads and their daughters or moms and their daughters are having those conversations. Because at the end of the day, what's happening now, folk are driving up, beep, beep, and they're going out of house. Parents don't even know who they're leaving with. I just keep it real.
That's right.
Or they're meeting them at the mall, meeting them at ball games. So that's the problem. They don't have that relationship.
That's right.
So we're not talking about the issues that we need to talk about.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah,
go ahead. No, I was just speaking on what you asked. It's kind of it's crazy because how I grew up, born in the 80s, my parents never once explained sex to me. Talking like that was a thing in that age. I had to figure all that out on my own. Thank God. The one biggest prayer I ever had was, God, please don't let me get nobody pregnant while I'm out here, because you learn it.
Yes.
Right.
And it's sad that I mean, my parents could only teach me what they knew, and it's kind of like a generational thing. It just continues to flow until somebody steps in and
Stop
say,
it.
"Hey,
Say something.
let's be more productive in this area." So
Yes.
I had to learn a lot on my own. So with me I have a 15-year-old daughter, and she's a beautiful young lady, and I know this, and it's hard out here, and I got a 9-year-old, and it's kind of those things. I've always built a relationship with her where, listen, I just want you to talk to me. Yes, I'm probably gonna be mad, probably gonna be pissed. You probably gonna get in trouble, but at the end of the day, I want you to feel comfortable enough to talk to me so that we can figure it out together.
Right.
Because I don't want you out here just talking to your friend that don't know.
They don't know.
Yeah.
Come to me or your mom so that, hey, we can help in this situation. We're gonna make sure that we figure it out together. So yeah, in that I do have real conversations. The same way we talk, that's how I talk to my 15-year-old.
That's wonderful.
I'm not giving you the birds and the bees because
I want
I'm giving
the
to you
truth.
what I know. I know what these little boys out here talking about. I know what they want, and I know the image that you're selling. You see this little boy riding around on this Scat Pack, you know. He driving his little Scat Pack, you know. You thinking that's just like, come on, you know.
And with about boys, I always tell her to talk to people that treat her right, like respect her. Um, one day, you remember we was at the tenant house
Mhm.
and the tenant was late on her rent. So her guy friend was just pretty much, I guess he was
He
like,
let her handle all
yeah,
the
he let
situation.
her
He sat in
handle.
the car while she's dealing with business.
But yes.
Wow.
So Caitlin was with us and we wasn't telling her don't be with nobody that don't have no money. But we was basically saying like, don't be with a gentleman like him. Like this lady about to get kicked out of her house and he's just letting her like trying to handle business and he's just like laid back. Like you don't talk to men like that.
You
Guys
won't.
like that.
Right.
You won't. And I think a lot of times, not trying to get off subject, talking about the money, you can't lose. You hear the term now, alpha male. But when you know when you have an alpha male, you know somebody that's providing a leader. But we can't let the wallet and who's the main breadwinner determine who has the balance in the house. Because a lot of time with women now, hey, I make the money. I do what I want to do. You can't make no decisions around here because big bank trump little bank.
He ain't talking about me, y'all.
No, no.
Yeah.
Trump little
Yeah.
bank.
Yeah.
So it's like sometimes we get caught up in there. That's why
Right.
it goes back to the valuing men with their wallets, because this is how I look at it. And no offense to anybody, I feel like now the way social media puts it out there, it's almost like the woman, the bad girl or whatever they want to call it, goes to the highest bidder. Because I go on a date with you.
Talk to him.
Hey, I'm taking you to a nice restaurant, buying drinks, nice vibe. You got, street dude out here, scammer, come over here, pocket full of money, like, hey, I'm gonna buy you this bag. I ain't gonna never talk to you, I ain't gonna call you, check up on you. I don't care if you eat tomorrow. But when I speak with you, here go you a bag. Here go, go to the strip club, throw this money. So it's like the guy that actually had her well-being and her heart in mind,
He's not
his
winning.
his pockets ain't like the scammer. So it's like, I'm gonna go over here when he really don't mean you no good. So that's why I say a lot of times women lose out on something that could potentially be real.
Over superficial.
Yeah, over superficial,
There you
just
go.
seeing.
Gotcha.
That's why I say that mindset, YOLO, spend it and get it right back. That's somebody for the streets and the scam. Because I can lose it. If I got it and I lose it, it might take me 15 years to get that back.
Get all that back.
Yeah,
For me
it
to
goes
speak on
back to teaching the values.
Yeah.
For me to speak on the girls, like I tell my daughters, being pretty ain't gonna be enough, baby. That ain't gonna take care of a man. He ain't gonna stay there. What do you bring to a table that's already prepared? That's where your value is at. I tell all of her, now my 5-year-old, she don't understand that, but she hear it. It'll stick in eventually, but being pretty is not enough. I teach them that. I tell them that being pretty is not enough. Count your money. Yeah, daddy got you for the rest of your life. But find somebody that can give that a break, you know. I'm showing you how this works.
It definitely goes back to the
see mommy
values
and
that's
daddy.
instilled in you. You know, the values that they've seen from grandparents or parents or the people that they associate with. I think if we have to look, and I'm being redundant on purpose, we have to help them build their value. And when I talk value, I'm not talking monetary value, you know, or the price you can put on shoes or bags or clothes or what have you. You know, there's a little guy that's trending on TikTok, and it's humorous. He says, Cinderella found love when she lost a shoe. Women running around now with no clothes on haven't found love yet.
I saw that.
Wow.
I saw that yesterday.
You did.
Yeah, I did.
So, you know what I'm saying?
And that's crazy.
So it depends on the value, you know?
All right.
And
Because-
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, because whatever you're looking for, that's what you're going to find.
Mm-hmm.
I just teach my daughters that they the prize. Like,
Okay, so since you said that, I don't
Wow.
home safe space, right?
yeah.
I ain't got no sons, but I'm a man. Are they only the prize?
That's where daddy come in.
Okay, all right.
To understand that, yeah, you are the prize, but at the same time, it's a two-way street.
Yeah,
You need somebody that's gonna
It's a
value
balance.
you
Right.
and show you, treat you like that young black queen, and have your best interest in the highest regards. But at the same time, it's not a one-way street.
All right.
Like,
because he may be the prize.
yeah, like you can't sit up here and expect him to do everything. And I think that's what it's like. I always go back to the analogy. I say, you know, most women want you to go out here and spoil, let them keep their money. But when I spend out,
Yeah.
you gone. You got a pocket full of money that you never spent. You gone, and I'm trying to rebuild everything I got back. So it's like understanding. It's kind of tricky with girls is trying to teach independence, but not to the point where you feel like I don't need nobody. It's a tricky balance.
That's the whole point. That's a whole nother point right there. That's what it is, because everyone wants to feel needed. So if you're with someone, just because she makes the money and she's always saying, and I've heard her say it, I don't need you. Okay. So if you tell a man that you don't need him 20 days out of the month and you just need him the other 10, he gonna find somebody that need
They
him.
need him. That's right.
Because everybody wants to feel needed.
All right.
You know, and if all you need is my money,
Yeah.
you know, so there again, it goes back to the values that we build on, you know. So thank you all so much. Wow. I think I'm going to save this one and go to another one. Did anyone else want to comment on any of that? I'm sorry. The guys are scoring. I'm loving it. I love it. I love it. Oh, wow.
If you ain't know, I'm a talker.
And that's okay. That's good. That's good.
That's why we put the clock over there for Key.
Okay. Okay. The next one. What do black women need from black men to save this generation? From social media's influence on the dynamics of a relationship or marriage. Let me see if I can say that again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do black women need from black men to save this generation from social media's influence on the dynamics of a relationship or marriage?
Black women.
So
Yeah.
from what I think I heard from that, question is, what is it that they could do or provide for us that would not make social media such a high on the pedestal? And I think kind of like I said earlier, for me, it's just acknowledgement. I mean, if you want to acknowledge me at home, and the way I feel like the way they say love language, everybody has their own love language, but you can't force your love language down my throat. That's not mine, that's yours. So with me, do I have to have the social media if I was getting the other side of the acknowledgement? No. But since I kind of feel like I'm not, it's like, well, can I get it in this way then at least? So I feel like if I was able to get more acknowledgement, no, it wouldn't be as much as an issue for me personally.
On a side note,
Okay.
just to add what you're just saying, we as adults have to understand this. Your love language will change over the years.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the same person when whoever met you. Well, I talked to her, and you're not the same person I met you. So your love language, you will never have the same love language. It is a continuous thing. Like I have to date my wife over and over and over again. Why? Because she's growing. I'm growing.
Right.
Her love language when we was young, when we first met,
Oh yeah.
we knew what that love language was.
Yeah.
Love language.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
we was
Look.
together and we was exploring each other's
Right.
emotions, bodies, and everything. But now, it's different.
And I'm not saying it can't change, but I'm also saying you can't force your love language down my throat.
Can I ask you a question? Now, the biggest thing with the love language that I found out, because we've had this discussion, that's your love language, but you have to vocalize it to me. Because me trying to figure
can't
out
guess
what yours is, I'm going to always miss.
Right.
But I do understand what you're saying. I can't force it. But with me, just something, is it that they're forcing it down, or do we just not, we just need to say, okay, I'm not on that level with your love language, but that is your love language. So that's kind of understanding each other's love language is kind of a way to bring us closer. So it's like, yeah, this ain't my love language, but I'm gonna give a little bit in this just to let them know that, hey, I do receive what you're trying to give me. Because like
Go this
my
direction.
wife, I know my wife's love language. Like you said, it changes and all those. One of hers is you have to show it. And I'm a touchy feely person. So we go back and forth on that. I'm like, she's like, oh, sometimes it's too much because I always hug up on her, kissing up on her, because I'm a physical touch. And I do know sometimes it can be a little much. And when she like, all right, that's enough. Okay, cool, I got you. But sometimes we have to be careful because even though she feels that way, it might make me feel that she's pushing me away.
Right.
But she's really not. It's kind of like, okay, I went along with it like 50% of the day. All right, now.
And yeah,
that's
just
enough.
back up and give me my space. Just a little
So
bit.
I think it's just a lot. Just learning each other, man, and just making compromises to give and take.
Yeah.
Just giving and taking, man. And like I say, express that thing. Like one thing that helps me, I harbor a lot. I'm like my mom, I harbor a lot. And then I try not to use it as ammunition. But when something pop up, it's like, wait a minute, let me reel that memory back.
Slow
but
down.
I've learned that, hey, what's best for me and my wife is that, hey, tell me when it's happening. Like if sometimes my tone could be a little much, but when I'm saying it, I don't see it. But to her, it's like, why did you say that way? And I'm like, well, I didn't. But make me aware of it so that in that moment, it's kind of like we can start building on fixing it so that we kind of understand each other better.
Gotcha.
In
Got it.
response to that, I think that's one of our biggest issues is communication, and I feel like we both are afraid to talk to each other. That's the only way I know how to say it. I know he has a temper problem, and he will shut down and go to sleep, and I'm still waiting on that. I'm still sitting here like,
Or y'all can
and
start
he then
writing
rolled
down.
over and put the cover on, and he over with. Or there's a conversation that I may have brought up about my love language, and his response is, I feel like you're trying to make me to be somebody I'm not. So it's not much of a, but what I can do is, or what I'll try to do it's just, you're just trying to make me somebody I'm not. And then that's kind of the end of the conversation. And I don't know where to take it after that, because again, he'll get upset if I push, but he like, all right now. So it's kind of like, I'll express it, I'll bring it up, but I also know when I need to kind of just shut up too.
And I think a lot of it is just timing. I ain't trying to think, but it's timing of when we come with those questions. Because if my anxiety level or whatever is already here, and my wife come out of nowhere with like boom, it's like it's gonna take me there, and I'm probably gonna shut down or whatever.
You want this smoke, you got it.
Yeah, it's like I think a lot of it is timing and
But
talking.
when is the time? We had that conversation.
That's
too.
what I said.
One time we had it was too early. Another time it was too late. Another time I just got off work. Another time I just got done editing for 3 hours. So it's kind of like it's so hard for me to find.
You
the
got a
time.
booking system, right? Schedule. Put it in. Hey,
Look, that's exactly
gotta
right.
schedule.
You're saying it. You got to schedule it, you know?
That's what keeps
'Cause I
me.
snatched
He
it.
was like,
Yeah.
I need to book appointment with you.
Yeah.
We need to
I
talk.
mean,
I'm
yeah.
like, okay, cool. Go online and book appointment. I need
Oh,
my deposit.
Yeah, I'm gonna take
I book
it.
appointment every Sunday. Hey, look.
And the
Yeah,
thing
understand
is,
that.
too, we just, what it really boils down to as adults, we just have to respect and understand that we're not going to have the same love language.
Right.
And if we're not careful, sometimes we have these unrealistic expectations. We want the other person to be like I am. And that's just not going to happen a lot of times. You see, that's the way you are, and that's the way he or she is. And it is what it is. But you said it best. We evolve and we change. You see? So I knew from the time I was in junior high school, that I was a wife, no girlfriend. So I started dating, you know what I'm saying? For husband back then. While all my other friends, they weren't thinking about marriage, So I've always known that I was a wife. Okay. So I was looking for husbands even back then. So if someone wasn't talking, futuristically to be a husband, we didn't have a whole lot to talk about. You know what I mean?
Cutting it dry.
Yeah. I mean, and that's where I am now. I don't have a reason to date now other than to marry. For me, you see. But by the same token, my personality, my likes and dislikes when I was in my 20s, when I first got married, they evolved. 30s, okay, 40. I was 45 when my husband died, but I had changed so much. The little things that I used to get upset about, in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, that crap had gone out the window.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we just are not going to get everything we want because there's no one human being that can fulfill every, hole in our soul. Let me just say it like that. And, it's a tough truth, but we have to respect that, you see, and think about, okay, if this person is bringing 85 to 95% of this, and everything else, but, I really need this, I really need this. Think about, is that a need for you or a want? Because I promise, as we grow, some of those needs and wants are going to fall off,
Yeah.
That's just what I know from experience, okay? And not only my personal life, but with a lot of couples that I deal with, okay? So you will evolve, Love language, it is important. I ain't talking about nobody. It made him a lot of money, but,
That's right.
I don't subscribe to all that crap. There's an inner being, okay? And the two of you have to tap into what's on the inside of your core being, your values, and your negotiables and your non-negotiables,
Right.
okay? And then meet someone who that, you can agree with that kind of stuff and disagree sometimes and know it's okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Did anybody answer that question though? What do y'all need from us?
Well, what do black women need from black men to save a generation from social media? I think,
I said
Marquita,
acknowledgement.
I think-
Acknowledgement and
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
I agree.
I'm here.
and it's going to be different for everyone,
Yeah,
you know? And that's another thing. One thing I pride myself on, don't put me in the same box with every other woman.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you want to just really, for me to put an X on you, start comparing me to other women.
Child. Yeah.
You see? So some women might need that, you see? But I could care less. You don't ever have to put me on social media for anything,
Right.
you see? So, yeah.
They know what it is, boo.
So I think it's a relative question, you know, not a general question.
Because what her comment was when they say they know what it, because y'all have been 10 years.
10 years.
We've been married.
together
So,
13
because I think we're the newest couple here. And I think maybe that's why it bothered me. I ain't gonna lie. Maybe in 10 years, I won't give a fuck either. I won't give it. Maybe you ain't got to post shit.
Okay,
You
let's
hear me?
watch the language, watch the
Like,
language.
But when it comes to, so y'all's answer is different from mine because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm in
It's a
love.
time, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
in the
it's time,
puppy
yeah.
dog stage. I got the butterfly, like, love me.
It's a
But when
different-
I'm in the y'all stage, I wouldn't care either.
It's a
So I completely, so that's why I want to make it clear that we're new.
Yeah.
I want the love. I want to feel like that's the stage you want to make it to with me. And then when we get to the stage that y'all all have been to, none of this stuff will matter.
No, it won't.
It won't.
But I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
and it's okay to feel that way.
Thank you.
It's okay to feel that way.
I
Being a
think that-
woman, I do understand.
Thank
I think that's the biggest thing. Like this is where I'm at 38. You know what I'm saying? Just to be completely honest. Nobody has ground to tell you how you should feel. Like you have the right to feel however you want to feel.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But that same grace that's extended to you to allow you to feel how you want to feel, you have to extend that same grace back.
Yeah.
And when you stop extending that grace back or you extend it a little bit and stop it, that's when we have issues. You know what I'm saying? That's when you have a break in communication. That's when you have a break in all of the things that should or shouldn't go a certain way. That's when you start having those stumps in the road. Like one of the biggest things that, I told Quee when we started back talking together and put our engagement back on, the major thing with me was, look, I know I can't tell you how to feel. I can't make you feel a certain way. You know what I'm saying? I want you to feel how you feel. But I want you to realize that when you're expressing yourself to me, I also want you to understand that just because you feel like this don't mean that I gotta agree with it. And if you understand that I don't have to agree with it, that means that you're allowing me that grace that I was just talking about to express how I feel. And if you allow me to do that, that gives us a common ground to have a conversation, because it's not about the differences anymore, because we both voice how we feel. So, okay, now we're in the middle. Okay, now what do we need to do? You got it how you feel. I've got it how I feel. Okay, what do we need to do now? And Dr. M, you already know. I mean, I do have an anger problem, and that's why I am an extremely passive person. Keith and B have known me longer than just about anybody in this room. You know what I'm saying? And they know that I'm a real chill person. If I can get away without saying something, 9 times out of 10, I probably ain't gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna leave it alone. That's just my nature of who I am as a person, because that's my way of coping with my anger. That's my way of coping with my PTSD and my anxiety, or whatever the case may be. Like that's how I deal with that, is being passive. Like, I hear you, I understand, whatever. But I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just the same common ground I give you to express yourself. I want the same thing back. And I just don't want to hear a whole bunch of lip when I just say something that you don't want to hear, you don't like, or you don't agree with how I feel about a particular issue.
And that's where the healthy communication come in. If you notice, I like to say healthy relationships, healthy communication. I like to always put that in front of it, okay? Because if it's unhealthy, we don't make any progress,
Right.
okay? So it's very important to respect how each other feel, what each other think, you see? So that's a whole hour's conversation right there, So, yeah, I think that's enough to that question. Almost everything is looking like social media here. Let's get to something else, please. Okay. As it concerns the table, when the table is provided, what does a black woman offer that separates her value from any other woman of other ethnicities?
Can you repeat that?
As it concerns the table, when the table is provided, what does a black woman offer that separates her value from any other woman of other ethnicities?
Who said that?
Right.
I don't know what other ethnicities do
What?
to even
All
answer.
right, so check
Well, we
Like,
can't
I don't know
speak
what
to them.
Asians
What we have
do.
to,
I don't
a
know what
question like
Haitians
this,
do.
what we have to do, because we're black women in here, we have to speak to our own value and not try to figure out what somebody else's value
That was
is.
the purpose of the question.
And I think
That's for y'all.
that's what a lot of people do
So is the
sometimes.
question, what do black women feel like? So if the table is provided, what do black
Okay,
women feel
so-
like?
No.
they
The
bring to
question is
table?
personalized. What do you bring as a black woman to the table?
To break
If-
it down,
right.
what's your power? That's it. To make it
Yeah,
in your circle. What is your power
there you go.
that separates you from anybody else?
Mm-hmm.
Who wanna start?
From any woman,
From-
or is any?
Not me. We can't be the same. So from another woman.
That's
Well,
pretty
this
much
is a
it.
woman question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Y'all who wanna go
I
first?
ain't mean to be that complicated. I'm sorry.
Always you.
Right.
Grace, excellence, power, stability, balance. I know, like, I push my husband to be the best he can be. I'm not sure if he'll get that from anybody else. Anybody ever asked me, like, if anybody know me, I'm a hard worker. Um, and my biggest goal in life is to retire my husband.
She gonna retire me.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what Tab did a few months back.
I want to retire my husband. I've been saying it for about 4 years. So I work hard. I want him to be able to do the things that his soul desire him to do. He works for the railroad, and he also has a transportation service. But I know his soul is not taken away from that, but it's bigger than that, and I want him to explore. So I don't think that he will get that from anybody else but me. So I would say he's my purpose partner, and we help each other. Yeah. Periods. I'm gonna retire you. Periods. Periods.
I like it.
Yeah, this is my partner right there, though.
That's right.
And I tell him all the time, like, even if me and him, we have had this conversation because sometimes life happens. Even if me and him do not work out, I would still be that person for him because at the end of the day, if we got a divorce or whatever, we still family. We have kids together. We have created a life together. So I would still be that person. So like if we to get a divorce or something, he like, hey, I got this business idea and I got the money. Here you go. You do your thing because I love him that much.
I love you.
That's
but I ain't
what's
made it
up.
to that point yet.
That's a home run.
That's right.
But so I'll just give y'all this for y'all going further before you get to your two. The reason for this question was for you to be transparent to yourself, to as women, to give your power to yourself, for you to see your power. It's the purpose is only for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
We have nothing to do with this question. It's for you to see your power and love it and accept it and receive it. That's the only purpose for that question. That's
Yeah.
where it comes from.
And what's your name again?
Sharonda.
So she just expressed that power eloquently, so
So that
I
was the purpose
appreciate
of
that.
that
That's
question.
what's up.
It's to lift y'all up.
I like that.
So it's on you, Eric.
What I bring to the table. My table, I believe I bring a lot of patience. A whole lot of patience. Storms come through and go, and I see my baby have his whole, and sometimes I can't even be the goddamn storm. But I know if just a call or just a smile on my face or just my tone, he can just exhale. Literally exhale. Like it feels good to know that your man want to come home. Like my baby called me. You both can witness it. I'm coming home. I'm going to Erica. So y'all have a good night. You know, that feels good.
So you provide a safe space.
I'm safe space.
Yes.
Peace.
Yes.
Peace.
Peace.
Yes.
That's what I.
I'm
Yes.
safe space. But yeah, that's my plan too, though. You know,
Yeah.
when
Take
I get
care.
there.
Yeah. Keith Wilson takes good care of me. Last year probably was like the worst year of my life. I had to rebrand my business, and he was right there. And it has been times that he was down, and I was right there too. So it's that balance. It's that balance. So I'm glad that we have that. We have each other back.
All right.
Gang, gang.
That's what's up.
Quit.
Okay.
I won't quit to speak to. I want you to receive your power too.
I feel like what I noticed from my fiance is his workload and his balance that he does not have, from having his regular job to him having his photography, podcasts, whatever it is that he's trying to attempt and do at the time. And so with me, I feel like I can relate to Dr. M. I feel like since 10 or 11, I was supposed to be a wife. I'm in elementary school, drawing me in a wedding dress. Like that was always something that I have wanted to be. So to try to take the load off of him when I see how much he has done, man, me and LaCheston have been not together on and off, I want to say like 4 years. Out of those 4 years, I want to say LaCheston has maybe cooked twice, unless it's summer and we grilling. I make sure that I cook. Unless he know that I'm tired, he'll recognize sometimes I'm tired and he'll DoorDash. I make sure I do his laundry, even to the point where I put it up. I make sure I don't remember the last time LaCheston had to go to Walmart, unless it was something he needed from the studio. But it dang sure wasn't nothing he needed for the house. I try to take care of and cater to my man to the point where there's something that he won't need. But also from what she said, I have tried several times to be my man's partner, and that's something that he blocks me from. I've told him so many resources and ways that I could try to help him, the business or whatever, grow. But he chooses to find other people or outsource instead of just open his mouth and be like, but I kind of need this. You know somebody who know how to do that? Or can you, like, so I kind of feel like I try to be that gang, that partner. I want to be, if it's something I can help do, provide, resource, call somebody, hit somebody up. But there's a wall there that, for whatever reason, he trusts other people with tasks. But with me, it's just handle your business at home. And as long as he feel like he come home, he a good man. And we okay.
Okay.
Trust the process.
Okay. I think my assistant narrator here got it down pat. I was going to say some things are a process because you're at the onset. And with all due respect, I want to say some things do come with time after being married. You see, you all are heading into that marriage. You're not married. So there's certain things that, I'm going to be honest with you, I wouldn't trust a fiance to do either or to be a part of, And I know a lot of people do a lot of businesses together and things like that that are not married, and I think you can do that. But if you're heading into a marriage, okay, there's certain things that you're going to be guarded about until you actually say I do. That does make a huge difference. So much so that there's no more, as you know, common law in even Alabama anymore. So all these folk that's doing what they do, I'm not judging, but they're going to be left in the dark, because it's no more like that. So in time,
Yeah, definitely in time.
it takes time.
It does.
When we like one day he
time.
throw the mop at me,
It was
like.
It takes time.
That thing was rough.
So in the beginning, like you see Keith and Sharonda now,
Yes,
but this wasn't Keith and Sharonda
exactly.
10 years ago.
Right.
Like
'Cause I
it
think-
took a lot of healing. It has took a lot of patience. It took
Patience.
prayer,
Forgiveness.
forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It has taken to dig deep inside and heal past things, past situations,
Mm-hmm.
past childhood traumas. Just praying and meditating and just being patient with each other. So yeah, it looks good now, but we haven't always been in this space, and we still
Yeah, and this
sometimes.
thing ain't just
Yeah, it
well
ain't
oiled
perfect.
machine now. This you got to put a little service in there. But I think I had to realize, and like you said, understanding that we are individuals. You took a kid from Brundage, Alabama, this girl from Saco, Alabama. I was raised this type of way with my parents.
There
She
you
was
go.
raised this way.
Yeah.
So you're
Right.
taking two individuals that was raised different and know things are totally different, and you putting them together and say you got a cohabitat
Correct.
and do this thing with life together. And the hardest thing I think in the beginning was I was the same way. I was gated. Like it was a lot of things I tried to do on my own, or I still went to my mama for, and things because that was at that moment that was my safe place. That was what I knew. So it's like,
How
hey,
you know?
I don't know if Sharonda gonna get this right, but I know if I call my mama,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
mama,
Yeah, mama
so
gonna tell the
it was
truth.
that safe. So it was just really understanding that hey, we two different individuals and learning each other and say, hey, we're not gonna think the same. We're not going to move the same, but over time we start understanding each other so that we can move in the same direction. Because I seen a thing online that said love, people say compatibility. Compatibility is just a word made up.
That's right.
Because the thing about it is we choose to love who we want to love. And we choose to, when I got with Sharonda, I knew who she was. So in my mind, I had to say, this person, if she never changes, can I still be with her?
That's the
but
question
where she
right
is
there.
Not me thinking that I can change
That's
her.
the question.
Not me thinking that, as we get married, things going to get better.
Right.
No, the way she is right now, can I deal with all of this dynamic? And it's a lot. Don't get me wrong.
That's
My
it.
wife
For
is
real.
a
I'm
lot.
like probably the most extra
But
person in the world.
I managed
You
her out
just have
there.
to find somebody who's able to deal with your
And that's it.
because
You just got to
everybody
know,
just can't.
can I deal with that?
Right.
And once I
Right.
realized, like, hey, I'm rocking with her, but we balance each other out
There
because
you
I
go.
can look at her and be like, hey, tone it down. Like, you
Yeah.
doing a little too much. She be like, I'm doing too much. Yeah, you doing too much. right now.
Got it.
So it's just really, it's self-evaluation and just, sometimes we put too much stress on
And I
what
accept
it's
that too.
supposed to be.
I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I am doing too much. Let me just so I do accept it.
So we make our own rules when it comes to that.
Yeah, well, you got it. And I appreciate you all. I know, but for the sake of time, let's get to some more of these questions, okay? So we're going to have to kind of shorten our answers a little bit. I appreciate y'all. Man, I could do this with y'all all day. At what point is wanting more considered complaining? Is what
I
point?
think more needs to be defined.
That's it.
I think when you've had to ask more than once,
Okay.
to me, that's what I feel like I hear from it. If I've asked you more, if I've already asked you and you haven't done it, that's what causes the complaining.
Okay.
If you do it after I ask you, I have no need to complain. But if you act like you didn't hear me, and that's not my question, I know I'm answering it so quick, but I mean,
You had it on your chest.
if I have to ask you more than
Like-
once, then is it really complaining, or are you just ignoring me or not putting me as a priority?
Got it. And there again, as you all know, I just want everybody to know that all of these questions are relative to each individual, you see. And being transparent, what I know about men, sometimes we just have to ask men more than one time.
That's just
I'm
it.
just going to
Yeah.
keep it real, okay? Anybody else? So, we got to get on. Our time is running. So, you good? All right.
I'm fine.
Okay, I really need to ask this question.
Mm.
Prenuptial agreements often set off Black women. Do you agree or disagree with this statement? And if so, why? Briefly.
Briefly, in my situation, me and LaCheston have been on and off for about 4 years. Every time that we broke up, it's because LaCheston has broken up with me.
But do we
I
need
don't
a
agree
prenup?
with- No,
Okay.
because if you're gonna leave again, then I feel like you deserve what you get. Either you're gonna marry me and you're gonna want to stay, or if you don't want to marry me, don't, and then we don't even have to worry about the prenup.
All right. Anybody else? Well, everybody else is married, so but just for the sake of conversation, would you yes or no?
I mean, to me, that's a double-edged sword.
Okay.
It
really
is.
because,
It is.
Okay.
because it might be in my favor in the beginning, and then it's. I mean, prenuptial. I think it just mostly come down to understanding, and people get so caught up in prenup that it's actually details in it. You come up with in it.
There you go.
It's all about what you
You
put in it.
define,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
define it.
Yeah,
You write it
it's-
yourself.
It ain't like it's just a generic like
Right.
prenup. I get half. or
There you
whatever.
go.
You dictate kind of what the parameters of in it. So I think it's just getting an understanding and
Right.
You
figuring
get
it out.
half, baby. We ain't-
The
we
reason
can't
I don't
do all
believe in
that.
prenup because if you marry me, that means you trust me enough to take care of you, even if we do bad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's your own personal judgment. If you need to get a prenup, you don't trust yourself.
Hello. Thank you.
There you
I
go.
agree.
And there again, all these things are relative now. You know what I mean? So,
I
hey,
never thought about it that way. That's
I
really good, B. Okay.
That
That was good.
You don't trust yourself.
You don't
Yeah.
trust yourself.
that's what's up. And like I said, everything's relative. You know, I don't know. Even
Let
now,
me let me flip the question real quick. All right.
flip it.
So we know that both. I hate to put y'all on the spot,
Oh,
but I know
no.
y'all both have businesses that are established, right?
Yes.
If those businesses were established prior to you guys getting married, what would have been the conversation about that then?
Ooh.
I don't think it would have mattered.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different level. I'm gonna say this because I get what you're saying. Say we get together and you've already been established 10 years. You boom.
Are you coming in with nothing?
And see that's a whole nother dynamic. See, that's a whole nother
If
dynamic.
you coming in with nothing,
Yeah, you gonna
yes.
protect yourself.
Bingo.
I'm gonna protect
Exactly.
myself.
There you go.
But if
Yeah.
you coming in with
If it's equal or
If
whatever,
it's
yeah.
equal,
Amount.
You get half of my like we in it together, like we splitting this
yeah,
thing.
so
I
it
get
depends on
exactly.
what he's coming in, what
Yes.
he's bringing to the table too. So if you're not bringing anything, yes, sign that paper, honey.
See, that's what, there you go, right there. It's the parameters around all of that. So thank you for the clarity in that question, LaCheston. You know?
And I think that's the biggest the biggest thing there. It ain't prenuptial agreements are not uncommon anymore. I mean, it's just a safe net. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody gets married to get divorced. You know, I done been married to divorce. I didn't get married to get divorced. It just shit happened.
Things happen.
It just is what it is. So, you know, at the end of the day, this is the type of person I am. And Queen can contest to this if she wants to. You know, throughout our ordeals or whatever we've had over time, I make sure that she's okay. If I'm doing whatever, if I'm leaving or whatever, I make sure she's okay. I try to do the best that I can to make sure that she's okay. So I'm not that type of person. I just as a man, I feel like any man that's sitting on this side of here, if anything was to happen in their relationships, marriages, whatever, I feel like they gonna make sure B gonna make sure Erica okay.
Yeah.
I feel like Keith gonna make sure she okay. And regardless whether she admit to it or not, whenever we went through that we went through, I make sure she's okay.
And I think
Now is
And I think that's what it boils down to, for the sake of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it boils down to, having communication and an understanding to make sure that each other is okay.
yeah.
And that's my thing is you're not B. You're not him. You're you.
Right.
You act completely different. You may say, yeah, when we separated, you took care of me, but I took care of you too.
Right.
You had a car for me in your name, and I made sure I handled that.
Right.
We had furniture, and I made sure I handled that.
Right.
So this Tyler Perry Studios that you're trying to build, I don't understand why you think I would want to try to take that away from you when I've showed you in several occasions that when we are leaving, I'm going to make sure I handle my business that we had on the
Gotcha.
table.
Okay,
got you.
yeah. All right. So, but the thing is, at the end of the day, a prenup, like I said, is something that you design, you write it out, you agree to.
Mhm.
On the other side of that coin, let me just say this: there are things that's called wills.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing, different word.
Different wording. Okay. So for me, if he showed up, I get married next year because I'm not waiting 2 years for a ham sandwich. Okay. But I'm just saying, I would have some things put in place, you see, and I hope he will too, because both of us should have adult children, and the legacy that I'm building for my children and my grandchildren. I'm not building it for someone else, but when we get together, what we build together, you see, then that's ours.
Right.
You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So it all starts with a conversation and knowing yourself. By the same token, if you've got someone that has, like you said, built a business and all of the above, and then you meet someone that has zero to bring to the table, I think it's very wise to do a prenup. Because you do have a lot of people just looking for a free ride out there
Right.
on both sides.
Yeah.
Ain't
Right.
And you can put time limit. Like I said, you
Yes.
make that thing for 5 years, 10 years.
There you go.
It ain't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This one is for the men. Okay. Nope, it's for everybody. If black men are providers in their relationship or their marriage, take care of the responsibilities that a man is supposed to, how come the list continues to grow to make him seem as if he's not doing enough?
Oh.
I don't know who wrote that question. but
I don't know who wrote it, but reread it one more time. Yeah. I think I
Yeah.
can answer it for you.
Well,
like
I'm just going to say if a black man is providing for the household, taking care of responsibilities that a man's supposed to, how come the list continues to grow and make it seem like he isn't doing enough?
Now, to me, Dr. M, from what I hear, and I don't know who submitted this question, but this sounds like a man who was raised in the 80s. This sounds like a man who, as long as your daddy provided, as long as your daddy brought his behind home, and your daddy brought that check home, your mama's supposed to be quiet. She's supposed to be in that moo frying that chicken, and she's supposed to and that's it. And that's not 2022 no more. I didn't hear nothing about emotions. I ain't hear nothing about community. I heard as long as that man pay bills, why are you unhappy?
Okay.
And
That's
not
what I
enough.
heard on that card.
And that's not enough.
Okay. And then there again, every word in here can be defined, okay? Because taking care of responsibilities, it could include paying bills, it could include other things as well.
Right.
So one of the things I want us to take away from this gathering and our conversation today is be clear. Don't just ask blanket questions. Don't just make blanket statements. Be adult enough to unpack what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. You see what I'm saying? So be definitive and do it respectfully. Let's talk about. So what you're asking me is da 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 da. Or what you're saying to me is da da da. Don't assume I know.
Right.
And that's what so many people do. So responsibilities for this woman might be totally different than responsibilities for this woman. Am I making sense?
Right.
Right. So, yeah, let's just unpack them and be clear. Okay. How do you remain in a relationship when you feel your partner has lost interest in you long ago or that you are not their main focus? Anybody want to speak to that for the sake of time?
I think maybe start back doing things. Because sometimes, when you're married and when you're in a routine, you kind of get lost. So start back dating each other. Start
Yeah,
having
dating.
those talks. Communicate. Even when it's hard, communicate and just see how can you make it right.
Compromising.
Yeah, compromising.
Send that man some attachments.
You stupid. You stupid.
Like I said earlier, man, everybody grows, so it's gonna become stale. It's gonna become stagnant.
Yeah.
But how long you think it take people to grow?
Oh man, that's a.
Ooh.
I'm
I'm
all
still growing.
I think we're forever growing. We're
Yeah.
forever evolving, forever.
And that's life.
Eric
It's
was
life
beefing Friday.
cycle.
We was in love yesterday. I don't
Right,
know why
literally.
That work out.
There you go.
Literally.
Yeah. So I'll just say this, part of the question that set up antennas for me is your partner has lost interest in you long ago.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
We need to see if we can start working on this now,
Mm-hmm.
not
When you
wait.
notice it, yeah.
Yeah, when you first notice it. I think you said something like that. And that's what happens. So many people wait, you see, and just hoping when we wake up tomorrow it's going to be better. Well, it's not.
Yeah, I'm a bad person at that. I gotta
Yeah.
work on that definitely.
You remember when we used to write stuff down and then talk about it?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, that might help some of y'all. Like if it's situations that you just can't talk about like right now, just write it down and then when the time is right, you just give the person a letter and just be like,
Yeah.
read
I
this.
like that.
Um
Like a mason jar or something.
yeah, write it down and express
put it in a
yourself,
mason jar.
Because sometimes our conversations are hard. And sometimes we say things and it don't come out the way,
Right.
Yeah.
language is
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
So
Why are black women the least to get married? Anybody want to speak to that?
I ain't got no opinion on. I be honest with you, I don't
I
know.
feel like that's a man question. We can't marry ourselves. Well, we can't
Oh,
marry
I can tell you,
ourselves,
I
but I
speak
feel like
on-
that's a
I
man
think that goes
question.
back to the.
I try my butt off, and I'm still me.
What's
The
the
money thing.
qualification?
I don't know.
Yeah, like what's
That
the
money thing.
What I mean.
It's not the money thing.
You don't think it's a money thing?
What is
black
it
women
then?
are not- Well, what is it?
The standard. Like you said, that's not enough. Being a good man is not enough anymore.
I get what you're saying. That's kind of open for
That's just my opinion.
interpretation.
What's a good
What's a good
man?
man?
though?
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
what-
You
that's
see?
the only
And then
thing
that's where it
open
starts.
to.
That's the whole conversation. That's where it starts. What's a good man?
Yeah, there you go. Because what's a good man for me
Yeah.
might not be a good man for someone else. You
Right.
see?
That's where
Right.
the conversation starts.
Yeah. So all of our conversations, it's good, but everything is relative
Yeah.
because we need clarity.
We do.
And I think that's one of the problems. Okay, that's one of the elephants in the room. We don't get enough clarity.
Yeah.
And when my clarity doesn't look like you think it should look, then you get upset with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it.
You see,
Yeah,
you
I'm
want me to be
guilty of that.
clear, but then when I'm clear, now you're ticked.
Yeah.
So it's a lose-lose for me.
Yeah, it's a
I
double edged
shouldn't feel
sword.
this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a double edged sword. Ain't no right or wrong.
You see, so yeah, I mean, this conversation can go on and on and on. And it looks like for the sake of time, we might be wrapping up. But yeah, and this is what this says. When black men express themselves emotionally, why does our culture perceive this expression as an act of weakness?
Ooh. Please
Why?
answer, all of you.
Why?
Oh,
See?
you don't want me to answer.
I do.
And
I
we-
want
for the
all
sake of
because this
time,
is
we might not be
crazy.
able to, but
Uh,
quickly take a stab. at it.
So, Dr. M, this will be our last question. So after everybody's pretty much giving their spiel, we're okay, and then I'll turn it back over to you so you can do your closing remarks.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, because there's.
I can speak to it.
Come on.
So number one, man, growing up, I used to be this lovey-dovey guy. Write letters, write poetry, the flowers, the candy. This was a real big thing for me because I was always told I didn't look good enough or I wasn't attractive enough. People didn't want to talk to me. So I had to show another side of me, which was the more emotional, connected side of me because I was raised by a woman. Just keep it a buck. But it goes to what Keith said earlier about the main provider versus the dope boy. It's like I'm set up to give you essentially probably what you're supposed to get, but because I'm not giving just over the top enough where I can go buy this or do that, you decide to go the other route. So I'm good enough, but I'm not good enough, if that makes sense. So I went through a phase of that. And when I went through that phase and I noticed it wasn't really getting me anywhere, I switched up. When I switched up, I became this go-getter. Anything that I can do to go get it for myself, I'm going to go get it. Point blank, period. And I think that when I left the emotional side of me and the poetic side and writer side of me and this lovey-dovey side of me, and I turned into what I am now, at the end of the day, it's been a product of how I've been treated by some black women. Like who you were, I've been called square before. I've been called green before, because genuinely, I'm really a nice fucking person. It take a lot to really push me over the edge. I'm really a nice person. You know what I'm saying? That didn't get me nowhere. Being a nice person didn't get me nowhere. And this is answering the question about how you can't show emotions as a black man. You got to be stern. You got to be like, even if, man, me and B didn't share moments together where we ain't around them, where we look at each other, we hug each other, we cry, we pray, whatever, it's between us. We ain't doing it in front of them because we feel like it's seen as weakness. Not saying that y'all do anything to make us feel like it's weakness. It's just how we've been governed. It's just in our genes. It's in our DNA. It's kind of sort of goes back to the whole thing about when you was growing up, the neighborhood player in the neighborhood used to always tell you weren't doing nothing if you weren't smashing 3 or 4 girls. You know what I'm saying? It was a generational black culture thing to teach black men, you do not show emotion, point blank, period, to nobody. You don't give it to them on your job. You don't give it to them on your household. You don't do none of that. And that's kind of sort of at 38 where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? It be some stuff on the inside of me sometime I want to let out. I just choose not to.
Got it. I mean, I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
I think you nailed it pretty much. And not that you have to, but I think you speak to a whole demographic, of black men when with what you just said.
Like DeMayor Coleman. DeMayor Coleman came in here for a Father's Day segment. He's a therapist and doctor and all the other stuff, just like you are. And the name of that podcast was, in order to be a better father, you need to deal with your childhood trauma. Because of the things that we went through as young black men, it affects how we live our lives day to day. And I don't think that our women sometimes understand that aspect of it. It's just when we show up, this is what we need to show up as, and this is what we need to do. But at the end of the day, it's some shit on the inside of me that I deal with on a day-to-day basis that I decide not to bring to you, that I decide not to bring to my household, not to put it in the midst of what we're trying to do at home. Because if you look at that 70s video of that black lady sitting in that chair, when she said she don't deal with her husband mess, she said exactly like this. She said, you deal with me at home the same way you deal with them folks when you go to that job. Because when you go to that job, you don't go to that job with no attitude. You don't go in there talking them no kind of way. You don't treat them no kind of way. So you're going to do me the same way when you come home. Whatever you got going on out there, you find your midst of dealing with it. Because when you come in here, I need you to treat me the same way that you would treat anybody else. And I'm not saying that that's wrong or right. I'm just saying it's about creating bubbles for people to exist in. And for my bubble is shared with B. My bubble is shared with Andre. My bubble is shared with Keith when we get a chance to talk and catch up. Like, it's just certain things I do not want to share with my significant other because of how we was raised as black men.
Got it. And I just want to speak to that as we get ready to wrap up by saying this. I listen to couples sometimes, and one or both will say, we tell each other everything. I think that's such a lie.
It is.
Okay.
It's a lie.
So for someone that's expecting someone to tell their significant other or their partner everything, that's an unrealistic expectation. Because I believe every woman should have a girlfriend that she can be totally naked with. I believe the same thing should hold true for men. And a lot of men just don't have that.
That's right.
A lot of men don't have that. Y'all can say amen or whatever.
Amen.
But a lot of men
Right.
don't have that.
Nobody
You're
can be
right.
vulnerable.
Exactly. Because so many of us, and I'm just going to say as sisters, they do view black men as weak. I mean, if he cried, they talk about it.
That's right.
You see? If he showed this emotional, emotion, they talk about it. So sometimes it's a lose-lose for brothers, And I'll just say this. I have 3 sons, very proud of. I raised them. They're all men. They're not boys, they men, okay? But 2 of them, I don't know about the oldest one, but they went through some trauma. I'm just going to say this. And they might hear this later, and it'll be true. They are loving, giving, emotional care. They went through some trauma with ex-girlfriends, so much so in the past that they vowed they would never date another black woman.
Wow.
Do you hear me?
That's a lot.
That's crazy.
So much drama. I know all of them are not like that because their mom is not like that, but that was their vow, okay? Now, my baby, he did eventually, marry one, but my middle son, married a Caucasian. I could not have picked a better daughter-in-law, you see? But I'm saying that to say sometimes the hurt is so deep, and it doesn't only come from outside. Sometimes it comes from within,
Right.
And we hear the story or the saying, hurt people hurt people. And that's what happened. No one has taught the young ladies how to deal with a lot of their hurt. And that's a whole nother conversation.
That's right.
Okay? Because if we tell the truth coming out of our culture, 95% of us have been touched, have been molested, something has happened to us. Okay? Or you've been abused in some way. And that's suppressed. Okay? So when you get with a guy, you're saying he's trying to love you, he's trying to do this, you haven't dealt with your trauma. So guess who you take it out on?
Him.
Bam. You see? So I'm just saying, listen, hats off to all of you. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of you didn't say a whole lot. I enjoyed it all, but I really enjoyed the brothers talking. I just want to say on the heels of this podcast, I want to have just a segment with brothers. I've been praying for that. Really, because men need to open up and talk a little bit more. There's some things that they need to say that we need to hear.
So we ain't got nothing to say, Dr. M?
You see?
Ain't no women segment. We ain't got nothing to say too.
I'm
just asking.
Well, I don't mean it's not a slight, but what I'm saying is a lot of men are not heard enough.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we don't have a problem, those of us who talk and express. There are some women who are kind of subdued and do not talk. But for the most part, we don't have a problem getting our point across. So that's the vein in which I'm saying that. Men need a safe space to talk. So listen, thank you all so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed this. Time has gone by fast. I really appreciate all of you. And I just pray blessings upon each of you in your relationship. Just continue to, be open to honest, open communication and dialogue. And by all means, don't hesitate to ask questions.
Gotcha.
And then don't form your own answer. Wait until the person answers a question.
Listen to understand.
Yes.
What if the person don't answer?
And then you talk about it, okay? Well, even if they don't answer, it's an answer.
True.
even if we don't answer, it's an answer.
Yeah.
So once you're together enough, you will understand that sometimes you hear what I speak, and you also hear what I don't speak.
Gotcha.
Okay?
All right.
Thank you all so much.
All right, so thank y'all so much, man, for coming and kicking, man. For those of you that travel, man, for those of you that live here, that came here, man, thank you for being a guest. Thank you for coming on and speaking your truth. Thank you for speaking your truth, your truth, your truth. I think we had great dialogue, man. So I just want to say thank you to everybody, man. So for those of you that are home listening right now, man, if you have not, man, make sure you hit the subscribe button, the follow button. More content to come. We're gonna try to see what we can do with Dr. M to try to get her back again. For future references, man. Just make sure that, I guess, at the end of the day, you just be who you are. When you be who you are, you can be whoever you need to be for the person you're supposed to be for that person for. So in the meantime, between time, man, I'm your boy Chester, man, your host of the What You Mean podcast. Until next time, y'all already know what it is, man. Everybody look at that camera right there, the one in the center. Peace.